Cheers everyone, enjoy. Hi friends, in today's video I am making some beer braised carnitas using some Modelo Especial for the braising liquid. It's a fairly simple recipe. It's mostly handoff work. The hardest part is probably cutting up the pieces of pork into smaller, more manageable pieces, searing them in some lard or manteca, same thing, until they're perfectly crispy. Then everything gets poured back into the pot, gets braised in the oven until the carnitas are fall apart tender, and then you can make tacos. But today we are making some fully loaded nachos with beans, cheese, pico de gallo, the carnitas of course. Let's make it. Here I have about 6 pounds of pork shoulder. It's a big piece and I'm just gonna cut it into smaller pieces so that it cooks faster and it's not cooking all day. So this is a little too big. I'm gonna cut this in half. This is roughly the size of pork that you want for your carnitas. It's more manageable and it'll cook a whole lot faster this way. So cut up your pork into pieces like this. Now that our pork is cut up into smaller, more manageable pieces, we are going to add our manteca or the lard to a hot pan, and we're gonna sear the pieces of pork until slightly golden brown all over. They're not gonna be fully cooked, but they're gonna continue cooking in the oven with the other ingredients like the Modelo, some soda, orange, garlic, all that good stuff. So add the manteca to your pan. The lard is melting. Once the lard is melted in batches, we're gonna fry up the pieces of pork until golden brown. Try not to overcrowd the pan so that they won't steam in there. Once the pork starts looking like this, you can start taking it out of the pan and set it aside and continue browning the rest of the pork. Dia de los Muertos is such a special time to remember and celebrate our loved ones, and with Modelo this year, it's even more special because they're opening up their first ever ghost kitchen. It's even so much more special because not only is Modelo letting us remember our loved ones, but it's letting you taste the deliciousness of recipes inspired by our loved ones. I know all of this food looks super delicious. I can't wait to dig in. If you're over the age of 21 and you follow this Instacart link here, it'll take you directly to the recipe so you can make this food from the comfort of your own home. And if you're in one of the eligible New York City zip codes, you can order this delicious food directly from Uber Eats with Modelo's first ever ghost kitchen delivered straight to your door. Just remember, you have to be over the age of 21 to do both of these. Now back to the recipe. Once all of the pork has been browned and seared, we can add everything back to the pot. To this pot with all the pork, we're gonna add in all the flavor that's gonna make these carnitas super delicious. We're gonna add in about 1 cup of dark cola. Any soda will work. This gives it that nice caramelized color and a little bit of sweetness. The juice of 1 lime, squeeze it in there, and we're gonna put in the squeezed lime in there as well. We're gonna do the same thing with 1 orange. This is gonna be so good. Put the orange in there. We have 1 onion quartered. We're gonna put the whole thing in here. And we have an entire head of garlic that I just cut in half crosswise, and we're gonna put this in here. We're gonna add in a couple of bay leaves into the mix. Last but not least, the Modelo. This is gonna make our carnitas even better, take them over the top. Who doesn't love an ice cold Modelo? You can drink it with friends and family, and you can also cook with it. Pour the Modelo all over the carnitas. The entire 12-ounce bottle of Modelo is now in. Now we can pop this into our oven at 350 degrees, and it's just gonna cook and braise and simmer and get perfectly juicy and tender in there. It can take anywhere from 2 hours to 4 hours depending on how big or small the pieces of pork are. Lastly, we're gonna add in some salt. We haven't seasoned anything up until now. Mix this all around. And add in some black pepper as well. Now that we have the carnitas and all this deliciousness together in one pot, we're gonna pop it into a 350-degree oven. It's gonna cook until the carnitas are perfectly fall apart, tender, shreddable. This can take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and you can check it every 20 to 30 minutes, mix it around just to make sure nothing's burning, nothing's sticking, and if you need to add any more liquid, you could add a little bit of water as needed. On November 1st and November 2nd, the Modelo Ghost Kitchen will be live on Uber Eats, and if you're over the age of 21, you'll be able to try this deliciousness at home without having to make it. Once the carnitas are perfectly fall apart tender, this is what they'll look like. They're perfectly browned, and they should easily fall apart with very little to no pressure. Now we can assemble these delicious carnitas nachos made with Modelo beer. Perfectly tender, fall apart carnitas. To assemble our beer braised carnitas nachos, we're gonna start with a single layer of tortilla chips. To this, we're gonna add in a couple dollops of refried beans. Then we're gonna scatter over a whole bunch of these cooked up carnitas. I don't even bother shredding everything up immediately. You can just shred it directly over the nachos. Once we have that initial layer of carnitas, comes the nacho part. So a whole bunch of nacho cheese. You can use shredded cheese and then pop these in the oven to melt the cheese. But for my nachos, I love just classic nacho style cheese sauce like this. And it's nachos. Use as much or as little cheese as your heart desires. No exact measurements are needed here. Once we have this initial layer, we're gonna do another layer of tortilla chips. This way, every single tortilla chip will have toppings to enjoy them all from start to finish. This is a perfect meal to enjoy with friends and family. Make a big old sheet tray of them and everyone digs in together. From here, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna do a couple dollops of refried beans. Shredded carnitas, the star of the show. They're so tender. And another layer of nacho cheese. This top layer of nachos gets the addition of some pico de gallo. Again, no exact measurements are needed. Use as much or as little as you would like. But here in my family, we could eat pico de gallo by the spoonful. We love it that much. We're also going to do a drizzle of Mexican crema. You can also use sour cream. Tell me this does not look absolutely mouth-watering. Lastly, we do a couple dollops of guacamole. Modelo is an authentic beer born out of Mexico that's been around for almost 100 years, and during Dia de los Muertos, they're dedicated to helping families celebrate their loved ones. And with Modelo, it wasn't really that hard, and what easier way to remember loved ones and with a big old plate of nachos that everyone can dig in together along with an ice cold Modelo. I'm truly so honored that I was able to partner up with Modelo for their first ever ghost kitchen in New York City for Dia de los Muertos. And another friendly reminder, if you're in New York City and you're over the age of 21, you can try this deliciousness straight from the comfort of your own home. And if you're not in New York City and you're over the age of 21, you can also follow this link to get all of these ingredients delivered straight to your door and make it at home just like I did. So now's the perfect time to gather around the table with your friends and your loved ones, get some beer braised Carnitas nachos or some beer battered fish tacos. Obviously, you need to have an ice cold Modelo to enjoy with this delicious food. It's the perfect way to enjoy Dia de los Muertos, remembering your loved ones with some delicious food. Cheers, everyone. Enjoy.